Friends and family, thank you for joining me here at the American News Network with Chris Sanders. Well, I've said it for a while now, but hopefully it's sitting in and sinking in. Can't believe no major news networks besides me is talking about the fact that the EU and NATO is dead. You see, when that punk came to the White House and disrespected our president and our vice president, they looked right through that punk. And it fizzled out the fraud, the laundromat that we had been entertaining for the last 4 years in an instant, much like Quaker oatmeal. That 1 minute oatmeal, that was the relationship and how long the men in tights lasted in the Oval Office with J.D. Vance and President Trump. So he went back with his tail between his legs. Oh my goodness, what's happened? The poster child for the Biden jackwagon Joe fiasco comes back home with no moolah. Keir Starmer, the hero, wants to talk about his 4 points and how he plans on defending all of Europe against Putin. Here's a news flash, Europe. He has about 125,000 guys, so he's roughly going to be putting about 25,000 men in each area there. Yeah. Putin's just going to not even notice that you're there. You really need to understand reality, and you need to stop blaming the United States and Trump when you guys didn't put any moolah into the can to defend yourself against the bravado that you've displayed to Putin. This is all about oil. This is all about gas. Don't forget it was Jackwagon Joe and the Nord Stream pipeline. We've displayed that truth in full detail. So now Starmer, he's at an impasse. Time to sink or swim. Now, how do I know that NATO's gone? Well, if we are taking over Greenland, and that was held by a NATO country, but we really don't care, you don't get it, do you? Okay, the other thing about NATO, the number two force in NATO was Turkey. They peeled off a long time ago because of their stance in Israel. There's a lot of factors here that the media has not added up for the people. So I'm just giving it to you straight the way I see it. So this guy that he's wanting to create an alliance with the EU. Then today we have Zelensky then taking it a step further and sabotaging the natural gas pipeline. Wait a second, you mean the one that Burisma and Hunter and Jackwagon Joe's been profiting off of with the men in tights? Precisely. Well, he self-sabotaged that today? So you mean Putin could have done this the whole time and he's been selling gas to everybody in Europe still? Well, yeah, that's why they didn't just bomb Kiev, period, in the first place. It was protected from kind of a pipeline. You don't say. Well, that's pretty interesting news. So, you mean everybody's going to get cold and somehow that Barnett Shale from Texas then went to the Marcellus Shale and the DJ Basin and the Williston Basin, the San Joaquin Basin, and slipped on over there to the Kurdistan and the Turdistans. No kidding fiasco. Well, as such, we got a big Russian warning coming in. Sometimes he's got good news, sometimes he's got bad news. And right now he's wanting you to know, hey, look, Jackwagon Joe was a major hemorrhoid to me too, and we've lost a lot of lives, and every square inch that we've taken over, we're going to keep in the name of Russia. And he's like, how about you just let NATO or the EU duke it out with me? And I think Trump's like, well, they haven't paid any of their bills, so have at it, Vladdy P and the KGB. And maybe the world is not really getting the alliance that is starting to form between Mother Russia and Uncle Sam. Huh. Maybe Baron Trump would be a good creation of such love. But I do say that we can see how we are coming together as one. And I can see how President Trump and J.D. Vance didn't get along with the antics of the Democrat Party and what they represent. Well, what do you mean, Chris? Well, I mean, this is some of the best of Zelensky behind me here. And that works for the Democrats. Doesn't really work for me, but it works for them. And I think J.D. Vance and Trump had probably just about as much as they could stand with this theatrics. And they could see clearly what they were dealing with. And there are more important things, but since there was that outing America, since we saw basically Trump kick Zelensky out of the White House for being a brat, we have had three aircraft that have violated the airspace at Mar-a-Lago. Is this a coincidence? Is this a heads up? Well, this is something I'm bringing to our attention. Since Zelensky disrespected President Trump, we have had three aircraft that have violated the airspace around Mar-a-Lago. So citizens, be vigilant, keep your eyes peeled. We got to protect the president at all times. And in my opinion, we have funded money that we can't account for. And they're going to scramble to keep it before we try to get it back. Now, because of that, we have to be extra vigilant. But I mean, this is news that should have made it more, but it didn't. And yeah, just since Zelensky 3 different times. So this is one source, and here's another one. But F-16s, in fact, were deployed up and down the Florida coast. And I repeat, since the turd bird from the Ukraine came and didn't get his billions of free dollars, we've had 3 breaches of airspace at Mar-a-Lago. Unacceptable. Also, something that we started to do today because of Pete. This is breaking news. Apparently, we had a huge cybersecurity thing going against Russia. No kidding. Us creating crap about Russia through the CIA. Go figure. And Pete Hegseth today said, hey, you know what? Shut down at the Pentagon. We're not paying to create negative stuff about Russia or do a cyber attack against them. Maybe we can just kind of cool it on both sides. Interesting. So we have communications that are going up, and this is actually pretty awesome. And the United States is communicating with Russia. Meanwhile, we have jackwagons like Keir Starmer thinking that he can lead a single-handed attack with like Finland and this newly scattered, tattered Germany and France led by the beta males, and maybe even Trudeau can come in like MacArthur and lead the way and just make Putin just quake in his pants. Now, I think Putin and Trump are laughing at themselves at what you guys have created. And we're seeing all of these leaders come together to kiss Trump's ass as they should. And the art of the deal is happening. I see us picking up Canada, Greenland, and I see Trump and Putin communicating. The curveball is Israel. And how are they going to be digested, ingested, or communicate or not communicate with all of their cousins that date back to the seeds of Abraham? Those are major things. But who will join the coalition with Starmer? And he's basically, we have UK and France leading this, and boy, I bet that's just making Putin really afraid. And you're about ready to see some of Putin addressing you guys for the disrespect I think that you've been showing Russia, and that's just a fact. And the reason why we have people like Starmer and Macron and Schultz, Chancellor Schultz, and Ursula, is I believe that they got USAID money or kickbacks from the United States government. And instead of just resigning, they're perpetuating a theater that was probably funded by the United States in the first place. Just a theory, but with all of the stuff we're uncovering with Doge and with all the directions that we're seeing, it's being a theory that is proving to be a reality. So we have all of this pretty interesting stuff that's going on. Now, what is the world really in threat about? Would you believe the tariffs of Trump? Oh, he's scaring the world from Canada to Mexico. Is it 25% here, 25% there, even to China? I say, Trump, as much as you love Xi Jinping, how about you give China a 200% tariff to the world, for they hijack every single trademark that I've ever seen? I think America would agree. Then maybe their quality would go up instead of trash that we see floating in the Pacific Ocean daily. And that's just a fact. I think the world is sick of China through their vaccines. The warships that are floating off the northern coast of Australia, they're encroaching on Taiwan. Don't tell me they're just being kind of this preparation H hemorrhoid that the world is just not getting Krusty the Clown kind of sick of at this point. China. The hemorrhoid for our generation. Well, I'm telling you, we will somehow kind of clean that out, or have to. But Xi Jinping is violating the Constitution of China. He's implemented himself a third term. Many of us saw when he actually arrested the previous prime minister sitting with him. And I pray for the people in their future over there when they're being led by a dictator that has been so arrogantly vile. And as I remember very clearly, demonstrating through satellite images the amount of cadavers they were incinerating to keep up with the original Wuhan laboratory experiment that they were trying to basically broadcast throughout the entire world. When is enough from Xi Jinping, from fentanyl to COVID to the Wuhan China virus? When is enough? And hopefully, even though Trump likes him, we have to see what is right and what is wrong. And some people, some leaders just take it too far. Some leaders have been around for a long time and they keep it great. Let's flash back here to home. This is South Carolina right now. It looks pretty scary. This is a state of emergency in South Carolina tonight as wildfires have prompted evacuations. This is going on even into the night. Multiple wildfires are burning across South Carolina, and Governor Henry McAllister declared a state of emergency Sunday as firefighters have battled a series of blazes across 1,200 acres, and 3,000, with fires also growing in North Carolina, home of North Carolina white vinaigrette barbecue. Yeah, but we got fire that is blazing, and we got to make sure that we pray for some rain and some storms. We had some rain that came through Dallas, Fort Worth, all across the state of Oklahoma today, and it's in that perfect timing. Now, I want you to understand something about the cards that I saw. It kind of reminded me of something. But Jeffrey Epstein. Let me get back to who he is and what he is. In my opinion, everybody's getting it wrong. So he had a thing called like Jeffrey Epstein and Co. You had to be like a billionaire. He'd take 0.5% of what you make. One of his guys was paying $73 million. With that, he provided a lifestyle. And what I think he was a Mossad agent. And I think that they used him to get and gather perverted information, creepy information from celebrities to politicians. And let's just pull it off on an island, make people think that they're all alone when the whole thing's under surveillance, courtesy of like maybe a military. And in my guess, it's the Mossad, because all the names, all the last names, well, they come from Israel. So this is how I'm kind of piecing it together. And from Epstein to Weinstein, we see anything, even Ghislaine Maxwell, her relatives are even from Mossad. And we have a lot of this overlapping stuff, and I'm just speculating on who might be providing information as far as, and did Jeffrey Epstein really die? Now, the one picture I showed earlier, the cadaver, the nose and the ear canal looks different from his live photo. And that's just something I'm going to bring up, and people can analyze it. We need more photo evidence as journalists so that we can actually dictate and see, did this happen because the autopsy was held late, or is there just a lot of stuff that we're not getting here? Now, I'm going to let you know we are disbanding a lot of our CIA, so it's like kind of an interesting time right now, and the FBI. And at the same time, though, Mossad and Russia is not. So this leaves us open. However, how much of it was nonsense and just creating negative spin information? And so what are the numbers? How do we compare? And this is a comparison between even Mossad and CIA. And it is a big time operation. And CIA, we've had a huge staff. Mossad has active 7,000 on their staff roster, 7,000 men, an annual salary of $3 billion a year. Now, how much is the U.S. funding of that? I don't know. Probably too much. And this is the stuff that we need to be looking underneath scrutiny with. How much are we funding even people collecting? Now, who is the number one country that Mossad's collecting information on? The United States. What? Not Russia? No. The U.S. That's pretty interesting. But we're allies. Well, you know, if you get attacked, they're not coming here to help us. It's like a one. Okay, well. So anyways, I just want you to know, and that's how we compare. And it's been going for a long time. And so we've had now, after Trump basically dethroned Zelensky, we have Trudeau and Starmer, ruffled up feathers with Macron, probably again because we're going to find fraud going back to these leaders from payouts from USAID. And do you believe that somehow those beta males that want to tax you the most, do you think that they're wanting peace? I'll tell you why. Because Trump was ready to do a deal, so was Vance, but they could tell with how he was grumbling, how Zelensky was grumbling, that he just couldn't respect Putin. And Trump was like, you know, this isn't about money, this is about peace, and I really want peace. And he could tell Zelensky wasn't about peace at all. And I pray that that same angel of discernment maybe might hover even when we look at Netanyahu and how he acts. Because I think Secretary of State Antony Blinken obviously authorized way too much, where the ICC has shown very strong interest. and crimes against humanity. So Zelensky is grateful for the support we've given. And like Trump, I think the only support we should have given probably should have been sandwiches. Yeah. Sandwiches, maybe watermelons and oranges and avocados, but yeah, something like that, but definitely not bombs. We didn't accomplish anything except for a whole bunch of beautiful people to die because of politics. And that is just the truth. So we're hearing all this spin about Kash Patel and all this spin as far as the FBI on this guy. But I think that the real reason why they're shocked is now they're wondering if he's A, still alive, and if he wasn't a Mossad agent, and how much information do they actually have. But you know, it's okay if they just hit the reset button. There's only 535 people that somehow they've collected information on that matter. And I think most of Americans know that we need to clean house with our politicians anyways. If you think Matt Gaetz is gone, he's not. He's going to be the special prosecutor coming after all of you people. You couldn't make a better just theatrical documentary of The Apprentice. This is going to be really fun to watch Pam Bondi go after all these people. And, you know, it's about time. I say this because, see, this is Zelensky here as an actor. And our politicians, they saw him. They're like, hey, we're going to make you a president. And then we made him a president, and he termed out just like Benjamin Netanyahu, but he was working with that laundromat, good old Aunt Nancy and Jackwagon Joe, and now all this money from USAID. Now all that controversy about Big Mike Obama, Joan Rivers, the murder of Tafari Campbell, all of that's going to come to light. Even how JFK was murdered in Dallas. Are we going to hear about LBJ, the CIA, the FBI? What about Martin Luther King? You see, our shadow government has been the most destructive force we have ever had. And now through MAGA and MAHA, we're about to have some accountability so that the theatrics of Zelensky and Jackwagon Joe and the Democrats can come to an end. And that's all we're going to see here. But we have Epstein and Blinken and Harris and Netanyahu, Weinstein, Zelensky, Soros, Silverstein. And they're all great. They've done a great job. But I'm wondering about this guy and who might he actually have worked for. And Ghislaine, we got her history. But I'm just saying, I think he might have a different connection than we've ever even talked about. I think that the connection that he's had, I think it stems back to something that's deeper than that. Something that wants evidence, something that wants blackmail, and through lobbying and bribery, they can keep that power. And I think they specialize in it since the beginning of time. Maybe some know, maybe some don't know what I'm talking about. But it exists. And it exists on a scary level. And these operations have gone on from like the very highest end of society all the way to the lowest. I want you to know that before Jackwagon Joe left office, he actually gave all of our information that you're complaining about with Doge to a Chinese firm. Yep, 1 week before he got out, he actually gave all of our information to the Chinese. You don't hear much about that, though, do you? So that's another fact that I just want you to know about, that the last administration gave all these pardons and then gave all of our information to the Chinese because he knew that Trump and Musk would be after him. So he wanted to create confusion. And he could pardon himself for it just right afterwards. So those are some things that have gone on. And these are real truths. But you might say, no, people can't do that. And we can have allies that could get away with murder and terror. And I could say, well, you could be right. I could say, you remember these pagers in Lebanon? Well, how many of them are here in America? How safe is your cell phone? I mean, really? You mean a country could actually infiltrate and have these explosive devices on everybody's cell phone devices and walkie-talkies, even through like, what, Walmart years before? That could never be done. Well, it has been done. And they figured out how to go in between two batteries and create a catalyst that could then set off the entire thing. You know, and it doesn't matter that they did it, but they did. Now, same brilliant company. Oh, let's call them brilliant. They did this in Iran with the building. It has the same fingerprints of, in my opinion, what happened in 9/11. And we've been hit. Don't talk about the USS Liberty. Don't talk about the fact that we've actually had Navy vessels, U.S. Navy vessels, that were hit in the 6-Day War where they massacred United States sailors, and we couldn't talk about it. What? But they're our allies. What do you mean they could suppress information about murdering United States Navy personnel? Well, if you've heard about that, maybe you could actually chime in below. Because there's a lot of people that have heard about this. So we have our shadow government being disseminated, but we have another one that is here at home collecting more evidence than we ever thought of with the Chinese. So we got to start back over on square one with Pete and catch up. Now, that's really the news. And we have Saudi Arabia that's probably going to join the side of Trump because they love Trump. They know that he's always been the real man. But we have the media trying to spin it a different way. And I think, Zelensky, you're just lucky that I wasn't in the same room, or any American man wasn't in the same room with you while you were disrespecting President Trump and Vice President Vance. Yeah, I speak for all Americans. Do not disrespect our president. He's the first man that's worked for us in a mighty long time, and we damn well know it. And to us, it proves that we are not for sale. And you need to go fight your own damn war. We're not your laundromat anymore. In fact, we need that accountability, and if we need to get it through Putin, let this ring loud and clear, so be it. And if you can't put 2 and 2 about Greenland together and NATO being done, well, maybe you should figure out where his wife comes from and their beautiful son, and understand that the communication door has been left wide open and that in the name of Christ we've won. Some of you haven't figured that out, but some of you have. And I see an allegiance between Uncle Sam and Mother Russia. And it's going to be a good one. Just hold on tight. And that's what I'm going to let you know. And I don't give Zelensky that long a time. And all the people that have lived their lives off of American lies, your days are going to be numbered too. And that's Macron, that's Prime Minister Schultz, that's Ursula, that's Trudeau, that's Starmer. All you guys are going to crumble, and leaders like Viktor Orban have seen it. And you ought to take the lead of good men like him. So that's what's happening in the world. We've also done some strikes because America is back. I wanted you to know what this kind of thing has reminded me of. And, the relationship. But I do want you to know that Cyber Command has been told to stop its operations. We have now Saudi Arabia. Everybody's in just a kind of wondering, like I said, on which direction they're going to go. I'm not worried about it at all. So when I was watching that, kind of that scene between President Trump and Zelensky, it reminded me of this scene. You remember this scene? He was like, hey, this is with me, this is without me. Do you understand? This is like with me, this is without me. And like you are not holding the cards here. And so that's that, it's a Vanilla Sky moment. But that's kind of really what that whole entire thing reminded me of. And I thought it was kind of cute. So, I mean, there is some kind of humor to that, and how it all changes. I don't think it's going to change for Zelensky, though. I really don't. I think America has had enough of Voldemort, Zelensky, Nikolai Carpathia. I think the Lion of Judah, Orange Man good with watermelon balls, the man that has single-handedly diffused the Korean War, the man that has now brought the Ukrainian war to an end. It's just a matter on how now the United Nations is going to show respect. The EU is going to show respect. NATO is going to show some respect to Russia, because they didn't put their money where their mouth is. And maybe Uncle Sam needs to start taking care of himself, and he's seeing that. So sit back and relax, because we have our country back, America. And we're deploying actually our own money here to start back and to start over, because we're back. God bless. Good day. Amen.